Will you survive the next Great Depression? Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back everyone. If it's your first time here, welcome. Go ahead down and subscribe and turn on the notifications with that little bell icon. Today I've got another Prepper Pantry haul to share with you all. We are definitely continuing to stock our shelves here at home. This is a very concerning time. There are forces at work that are making it harder and harder for average American people to buy food, harder to produce food for ourselves. We are staring the Great Depression 2.0 right in the face here, guys. They say everything happens in cycles. A couple of years back, they were saying we were due for another pandemic after the last pandemic of Spanish flu in 1918. And that's what we got. And then what came along relatively shortly after the Spanish flu? The Great Depression. It's obvious we're in tough times, and we all need to get ourselves in the best position to make it through what's to come. We have a battle to fight, and this is how we arm ourselves. Well, this is one way we arm ourselves anyway. There are other ways, as I'm sure you're aware. We just don't necessarily talk about that in a forum such as this. But we had someone comment recently, and I went back looking for the comment so that I could read it exactly, but I couldn't find it. But it was something like this. Won't it be funny if there are no shortages, no food shortages, and all this food that people have bought goes to waste, or they actually have to live off the unhealthy junk that they stocked up on? And you know, we've talked about this before. We've had comments like this before. I'm sure that every channel like ours has. But honestly, if that is something that you're concerned about, then you are doing this all wrong. Store what you eat and eat what you store. This should be your mantra. You should not be buying anything that's just getting put away and forgotten about or not touched. You're just extending your everyday pantry and then keeping it rotated. Buy extra of those shelf-stable items that you typically use, and then find shelf-stable alternatives for the perishable items that you use. And if you decide to store something that you don't typically use, learn to use it. Start to use it. It won't do you any good to store flour and yeast to make bread, for example, if you've never made bread before and you don't start to practice now. Chances are you won't be successful making bread the first time, especially in an emergency situation when you're stressed and your resources are limited. And that's just one example, but you can see where I'm going with this, right? Honestly, I've been stockpiling food for as long as I can remember, and I didn't start out with it to be prepared for a hurricane or an ice storm or an EMP or any of that. I started to save money. I mean, that's the basic idea of couponing and bargain shopping, is that sales go in cycles and that you find your rock bottom price for something. And when you find that price, you buy enough at that price to last you at least until you can get that price again. So usually about 6 months or so. So that's why I started stockpiling food and toiletries and supplies. And then one day we realized that we were basically preppers already without even realizing it. And then we got a little more conscious about balancing it out. But regardless of how you got started or what your motivation is, it is so important now more than ever to have the supplies and the skills that we need to sustain ourselves. So let's move on to this haul, and I will show you what we added to our preps this week. So starting over here with all of my food items, you can tell that it was a big sale month for Thrive Life. This was actually the end of April that I got most of this stuff. Their delivery time has actually gotten better, which I didn't expect with the sale. But the first thing that I got was not from the sale. I got this case of mozzarella cheese. Now you might have seen me post about this. I did post about it in case anybody else wanted to grab it, because I found out that they were going to be basically discontinuing the shredded mozzarella cheese. And to me, mozzarella cheese is like a pretty basic ingredient that we use that I want to have. So I grabbed a case of this, and a case with the number 10 cans is 6 cans. And I think that's pretty typical because I saw other brands that had number 10 cans and their case was also 6 cans. So I got a case of the mozzarella cheese, and that did sell out. I know some of you got it. I hope that anybody who wanted it got it. There's a possibility that they'll bring it back. I hope that they will. But I already have probably about 3 cans down cellar, so we're adding our 6 cans, our case, and then everything else that I have here was from the big spring sale. I got 2 cans of butter powder and 1 can of honey crystals. Now this was a can of mushrooms. I love the mushrooms, so I'm always going to grab these when they're on sale. This was one of the first things. These 3 here were one of the first things that sold out because they're very popular. And then I did get 3 of the large number 10 cans of the instant beans. I got black beans, red beans, and pinto beans. Now, you know I'm a big, huge fan of the instant beans. They're basically beans that have been cooked and then freeze-dried so that they cook up really quickly. You don't have to soak them. You don't have to cook them for a long period of time or pressure cook them. You can even just soak them in boiling water. So I took advantage of the sale and got a can of each of these because they haven't even offered the pinto beans before in a long time. The red beans and the black beans I did have, but the pinto beans I'd never gotten from them before. And then the other thing that I got was a case of the instant milk because this was 50% off with the big sale. And this is really good milk. This is a great milk for drinking, for cereal. It's not like the old powdered milk that you used to get at the grocery store that nobody likes. It's really only good for baking. This is really good milk. Now you can see that the only ingredients here are the non-fat milk and vitamins A and D. Now, I do wish that they had a whole milk. I do like to have whole milk for certain recipes, and if you have young children, you probably want to have whole milk for your small children, but we use Nido for that. I'm really glad I got a good chance to stock up on this kind of stuff because honestly, the prices everywhere around me have been going up like crazy, and Thrive Life has not had a significant price increase since all of that's been going on, but obviously they're going to have increases in the prices of their raw materials, so I'm sure at some point it will happen, so I'm just going to try to get as much as I can now, just like with everything else. Now the next thing that I got was some slivered almonds. I love these. I use these in a lot of things. My daughter really likes these. Now nuts is something that you can't really stock up on years and years worth because of the fats in them. They can go rancid, but these nuts have an expiration that's over a year out, and I know that they'll be good longer than that, so I know that I could store at least a year's worth supply for myself, which will use these up long before a year. But this is definitely something that I like to have on hand. And if you want to store your nuts longer, you can store them in the freezer and they'll store a lot longer without going rancid. But we don't like to rely on our freezer for our preps because you never know when you might lose power and lose your freezer and refrigeration. So the next thing I got was this keto granola. I have another brand that I've used for several years and I just decided I was going to try a different brand. So this is a different brand. I only got 1 bag because I haven't tried it yet. And then we got a couple of big bags of these croutons. These are from BJ's, which is our closest wholesale club that we have to us. This is 2 pounds of croutons, which in croutons is quite a bit because croutons are really light. We do love our croutons. We go through quite a bit of croutons, so we got 2 of those. And that should last us quite a while. And then I did get 6 boxes of shell macaroni. These are the medium shells, not the really teeny ones and not the really big ones that you would use to stuff. We store a lot of different pastas. I really like storing pasta. Pasta's inexpensive. It stores pretty well for us here. I don't even have to do anything special to it, and everyone in the family likes it. Now, I usually try to buy whole wheat pastas or whole grain pastas. So I used to get these Barilla whole grain shells, but I have not been able to find these, and I am down to my last 2 boxes of these. So I broke down and bought the plain white pasta shells. We don't use these medium shells too often, so I really don't think it's a big deal. The last thing I made with these shells was a dill pickle pasta salad. It was so good, and so we just use it for little things like that. I sometimes will make a macaroni salad with my regular, mayonnaise-based macaroni salad dressing, and then I'll add in some tuna fish and some peas. And that makes a really good, main dish, cold summer supper salad if you don't want to eat something hot. Now these here are some things that we're adding to our pantry, but there's a moral to this story. Now, whenever we have people say, how are you supposed to stock up on extra food when you're barely getting by? And one of the things that I always tell people is take anything that you can get for free. We make sure that people know that we will take things that they're getting rid of. Now, we had a family member who contacted us and said she had some food that was going to expire and did we want it because she was getting rid of it. And I said, sure, we'll take it. We got 4 garbage bags full of food. And this is another example of what I was saying. Don't put things aside and put them away just to use in an emergency. She said, we bought all this when the pandemic started. We put it down in the basement and we never went back down there. And now it's expired and they don't want to use it. So the moral of the story is you need to be rotating your preps. You need to be using what you're storing and storing things that you will use, or else this is what happens and then you did waste money. But this is just a couple of things in the boatload of food that we got. And we were so thankful for that. It was a real blessing and we will definitely use this. So then we have got a bunch of different ramens. Now I know ramen is not the most healthy thing, of course, and We don't eat this all the time, but in my opinion, it's everything in moderation is fine. My kids like this. It's something that's quick and easy. It would be quick and easy in an emergency. You can't store ramen for a really long time because it also has a lot of oils in it and it does go bad. It does get rancid, but you can store it for at least a year. I mean, I've had some that went kind of bad, but I'd had it for several years and I still ended up eating it, to be perfectly honest. But we had some kiddos that were sick and just weren't feeling good and they really wanted some ramen sometimes. So we went through a lot of these chicken cups of ramen. So I got some more of these. This lime chili shrimp is my favorite flavor ever, which I don't eat ramen very often. I shouldn't eat it at all, but every once in a while I want some. And I usually get the lime chili shrimp cups, but I decided I would get the blocks this time. And my kids will use the ramen without the seasoning packet, and they put oyster sauce and sesame oil on it, and they leave the seasoning packet. So they don't care what flavor that they have. And then I'll have the seasoning packets that I can use on something else if I want. And then I got a creamy chicken because this is something that I saw people talking about in a group that I'm in, and I haven't had the creamy chicken ramen in many, many years, since I was a kid probably. So I just thought we would get a case of this and try that. And then this Sapporo Ichiban chow mein. These are a little bit different. A friend of mine introduced me to these when I was in college, and I really love them. I loved them back then, and every time I eat them, it does take me back to that time. They've got a little bit of a different flavor, and each packet has a little packet of seaweed powder that you can sprinkle on it. So it's just a little bit different, and I really like it. I can't always find this around here, so being able to order it online, I was really excited to have some of this. And then I did get another package of Ruby. I know I got these in my last haul. I'm trying to build up my supply of these, and I mentioned why. These are the variety packs. I like to get the variety packs because you get the most different variety of fruits and vegetables this way, but these packets are just a really thin, teeny packet. You could stash it, and this has 4 servings of fruits and vegetables, 4 complete servings, and it's just fruits and vegetables. There's literally nothing else in this. And it has the really good kind of fruits and vegetables, the kind of fruits and vegetables that you won't get in a can. You know, you won't get any other way. So I think of this like my nutritional insurance. It's a whole food supplement, so it's basically you're supplementing with whole foods in a situation where you may not have the most healthy diet. And I do like to drink these sometimes because some days I just have a hard time getting in enough healthy food, enough fruits and vegetables when I'm super busy. So I do drink these occasionally every day, but I'm trying to build up an extra supply of them because I think they're a great thing to have in our prepper pantry and in our bug out bags to make sure that we're getting the nutrition that we might otherwise be missing. And then over here, I've just got a bunch of canned goods. Now, this is just one Great Value tomato soup, and I got this because I usually am fine with store brands, but canned soups is one where I usually get the name brand because I find that it's superior, and so I usually get Campbell's. But I was just curious if maybe with something like tomato that's so plain that maybe I would be okay with the store brand. I use tomato soup when I make my chop suey. And so that's a pretty common dish that we make, so I make it a lot. So I use a lot of tomato soup, plus the kids just like it with grilled cheese, and we use a lot of this. So if I could save some money on it, especially with the way that prices are going. So I got 1 can just to try and compare it with the Campbell's and see how it is. And then I did get 1 more of these seafood stock that I'm getting from Amazon because I can't find seafood stock locally in any brand. So this is on my subscribe and save. It's very inexpensive, so if I need an extra item to bump up my subscribe and save to get the higher discount, this is one of the inexpensive items that I'll sometimes add. And then I got a bunch of the Italian style petite diced tomatoes. I got a dozen of the regular size cans, and then I got the bigger cans that are twice as big. There's 2 here, and then there's 6 here. So I guess I got 8 of those. I'm not really sure why I got 8. And I just figured out why I got 8. I put you guys on pause, and I realized that the reason there's 8 here is because there's 4 more in the box that I forgot to unpack. And I gotta say, I was really impressed with the way that Walmart sent these because, you know, I've had issues with them sending just bunches of cans just thrown in a box, and the cans are all dented and really bad condition. But this time they had everything wrapped in paper and placed really neatly in an appropriate size box. I was super impressed, but I did get a dozen of these large cans. I knew that that was not like me to get 8 cans. I would get 6 cans or I would get 12 cans. I would not get 8 cans. But so these petite diced Italian style tomatoes, I use these as well in my chop suey. and I usually do use 2 if I use the smaller can, so I figured getting the double-sized can would just save me opening an extra can. And then up here I did get 6 cans of artichoke hearts. I love artichoke hearts. I put these on all kinds of stuff and make dip out of them and stuff. What I've been doing with them lately is making sort of a little copycat version of, does anybody have round table pizza where you live? When I lived in California, we had a round table pizza, and they had a gourmet veggie pizza that was amazing. Probably my favorite pizza ever, and I can't get it anymore. And it had artichoke hearts on it and a bunch of different veggies. And so I've been making kind of a copycat version of that, like a lower carb version, that I use like a lower carb pita bread or lavash bread to make the crust. But we do go through quite a few artichoke hearts, so I got 6 more cans of those. And that was the tomatoes. And then I got another case of these ranch style beans, and this was kind of an accident. Actually, I have these on my subscribe and save on Amazon, and I should have canceled this case off because I didn't need another case, but I ended up with them. So I'm going to be looking for ways to use them up because I have an extra case, and it's not something that we use a ton of. But then I did get 2 more cases of vegetables from Walmart. Now Walmart has started doing, it's almost like they have a case lot sale option. I don't know if you have case lot sales where you live. We don't have them here, but I've heard about them from people who live in Utah and places like that. And I'm super jealous that we don't have them, but Walmart has started offering these cases of things on their website, and you get the cans. It's a little bit cheaper than buying 12 cans individually. So this was a case of peas and a case of green beans. I have gotten these recently, but these are the veggies that we've been using the most of lately, and so I decided that I wanted an extra case. I've got a couple of cases down cellar, but I'd like to make sure that I have probably at least 3 cases of each type of vegetable at all times. And then the other thing that I found that was a case that I hadn't seen before. Now I'll open this up to show you guys. So this is a case of these Butterfield diced hams, and this whole case was less than $12, so this ended up being 95 cents a can. Now even the Walmart Great Value brand of the diced ham in these little cans, these are small cans, they're like the size of a regular tuna can, 6 ounces I think. But these, even the Great Value brand, are like $1.22, $1.23, something like that. So finding this case I thought was a great deal. I'm really kind of excited that Walmart has started doing this, offering these cases, and it also makes sure that your cans are going to arrive in better condition because they're shipping the whole case. So I'm wondering if that also has something to do with why they started that. But I will definitely put a link down in the description. It's hard with the Walmart links because they come out a lot longer, so maybe I'll use a link shortener so that I can put a link to these down in the description box. I'll put links to everything that you would typically be able to buy online. A lot of this I bought in the store at Walmart, but if I bought it online, I'll try to put a link in the description so that you can find these if you want to order them yourself. And now on to my non-food items over here. Now this Poland spring water, these are 40 packs. Now I was getting my water in 40 packs at Walmart in the Great Value brand. My price point for water bottles, these typical 16 ounce water bottles, is 10 cents. I don't like to pay more than 10 cents for a bottle. So it used to be $3.98 for the 40 pack of Great Value. So that's what I got. Well, the price has gone up well over $5 now. So I have not bought any more. And luckily we have quite a few cases down cellar. But I happened to be shopping online at BJ's, and I saw that they had these Poland Spring cases and they had a coupon for them. So they ended up being pretty cheap. They were cheaper per case for the Poland Spring than what the Great Value Walmart ones were. So I grabbed the 2 cases of that because the coupon was to save such and such off of 2 cases. And then we've got some sort of medical supplies. I did get another ibuprofen. This is probably the most common medication that we take in our house. We don't take a lot of medications, but the ibuprofen is the one that we do go through. And so I try to keep plenty of this on hand. We have quite a bit of it in our supplies, and I just grabbed another bottle of 500. This was from BJ's. And then, oh my gosh, you're going to see a theme here. This is all kinds of poison ivy stuff. My youngest daughter got a horrible case of poison ivy. Now, I think in my last haul, I showed you the Technu that we got, and we use Technu a lot. We have a lot of poison ivy on our property. My oldest 2 kids have had a lot of poison ivy, but the youngest one, she has not gotten it before. This was the first time. But the Technu is great for washing the oils off if you've been exposed to it so that you don't break out in the rash, but she did not realize that she had gotten into it. So the Technu didn't do us any good, and she got it so bad. She had it on her ankles, on her wrists, on her hands, on her stomach. She had it, her face was swelling up, her whole side of her face, her ear, her eye was swelling up, her mouth was swelling up. She actually ended up having to go to the doctor and get prednisone. But if we were in a situation that wasn't an option, and even so, even with the prednisone, she was still very uncomfortable. So we were trying all sorts of different things to keep her comfortable. So some of this stuff I was hoping to try out, and some of it came too late because she was starting to feel better by the time it came. So I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I'm telling you, there will come a time that we'll need it again. So this Zanfel, I'd seen this before, and I feel like the price has gone up a lot on this, or maybe I was just having a hard time finding it from a good seller, but I did grab a thing of this to try because this is really what her face looked like. She was all swelled up like that. So this is one we didn't get to try, but we're going to put this in our stash. We cannot have enough poison ivy stuff around here. This IVX, now I do have the IVX in towelettes, and it's in my kids' little mini first aid kits that they carry with them. This is this came as a 2-pack, and I don't think I realized one of these is the pre-contact solution. If you put this on before you're going to get into someplace that might have poison ivy, this helps protect your skin from it actually getting and affecting your skin. And then this is the post-contact cleanser. This is more like the Technu for washing off the oils after you've gotten into them. And I don't think I realized. I think I thought I was getting 2 of the pre-contact solution because this is what I really wanted, because we do have plenty of Technu to wash off after contact. But I thought rather than just having the towelettes, which they carry with them, but having a bottle of it to have at home would be more economical. And then this is a little ice bag. I'd been wanting one of these anyways, but it was really helping her to put ice on some of her poison ivy spots that were really uncomfortable. And so we were going through a lot of, sandwich baggies with ice in it that would leak. And so I ended up getting this. We didn't end up using this because by the time we got it, she didn't really need it anymore, but we're going to have this because it's good for all sorts of things. Now, these were a couple that we did use, and these worked pretty well for her. There was this Benadryl itch cooling spray and an Ivarest, and she used both of these, and she liked them most of the time. They seemed to work. Every once in a while, they would sting her depending on, I guess, how bad the spot was at the time. And then this Ivy Dry is one that we didn't get to try. This came after we didn't need it anymore, but I'm going to have this in our supplies. We're going to have all sorts of things to try the next time somebody gets into poison ivy, which hopefully will be a while, but I'm sure it will happen again. We did use, this was just a Walmart anti-itch cream. We try to keep quite a bit of this in stock for various different things, bug bites and rashes, so we did use some of this. And then we were actually using the Pectin as well, but on her poison ivy, because this has the pain relieving, so it kind of helps, but we just needed more Pectin anyways. We use this for wound care and all sorts of stuff, and I was running low. We needed more of this. I'm really trying to bulk up our wound care part of our first aid supplies. So we got these 2 Pectins, came I think as a set, and I think it was cheaper that way. Now, along the lines of the wound care, I also got this pack of gauze. This is, how many rolls of gauze is this? I can't remember, but it's a lot of gauze. It also came with 1 roll of tape, which seems a little silly for all this gauze, but we were actually wrapping her ankles up with gauze. That was one of the most uncomfortable parts of her, and it did help her to have a little bit of cream on it and then wrap it in gauze pretty tightly. That helped her. So we went through quite a bit of gauze, and it really was making me realize just how much gauze you actually go through if you're actually having to care for wounds. And so I decided I should add quite a bit more to our supplies. I also had to wrap my son's feet recently. He got really big blisters on the bottoms of his feet playing basketball. So we've used a lot of gauze, and it really accentuated to me how much gauze you really need to have if you're going to have do some wound care. So, and then this was another set that came from Amazon, and it was cheaper this way than buying them individually at Amazon. It's just cotton rounds. We use a lot of these when we're treating wounds or cleaning wounds, or we wiped a lot of her poison ivy with, the Pectin with this. So we used a lot of these, and we do use a lot of these, and they're not going to go bad. So this is a 6-pack that I grabbed. So here I have 4 more of these Croc handy lighters. I really like these because they're not quite as long as the really long easy lighters, but they're, easier to light things than the regular typical Bic lighter. So these are from Dollar Tree. Anywhere that you can find these, any brand. I just really like the ones that just have a little bit of an extended tip. And then I grabbed some mouse traps and some fly swatters. You really need to think about how you're going to deal with pests and things like that in a grid down situation. Make sure that you have plenty of things to deal with that. Fly swatters, mouse traps, these are super cheap. You might wonder why I got so many of these. Honestly, if I were to use these now, this to me is a single-use item. I'm sorry, I'm not taking a dead mouse out of the trap and resetting it. I just throw those straight in the garbage with the whole mouse in it. I'm actually a little bit I'm iffy on the whole idea of mouse traps. Like, I really wish that I could just catch them and release them out into the wild somewhere, but I can't have them getting into my pantry. So we keep some mouse traps on hand. These are super inexpensive. Now here I've got a couple of random things. This Shore Gel, this obviously is pectin for making jams and jellies. This is a 6-pack of these. I just like to have things like this on hand so that if I get a whole load of, you know, something, fruit or something that I need to process, I want to make sure that I have everything I need. If I need pectin, if I need jars, you know, lids, things like that. Because if I have to run around and buy all those things, there's a chance that things will go bad before I even get it processed. So I got a bunch of these pectin. And this little lantern was also from Dollar Tree. Sometimes I see things that I've never seen there before. I just want to try them out and see how they work. This lantern, I was surprised at how bright it is. It's hard to tell on film how bright it is. The thing I thought was silly is this knob turns and you hear it click and then it keeps going, but it doesn't brighten the light at all. It just clicks it on or off. So I don't know why they have the knob set up like that, but I was pretty impressed with this for $1.25. It doesn't, you know, go up and down like some of those lanterns that pop up and down, but for $1.25 I thought this was a handy little thing. And then I got 2 boxes of Biz powder. Now I love the Biz powder. I just use this for stain removal. That's pretty much the only thing I use it for, but I really like it. And this is something I've been practicing, you know, use 1, buy 2. So I got done with 1 box, so I grabbed 2 more boxes, just trying to build up my supply. You just need to make sure you keep this dry, because any type of powdered, you know, thing like this, and it's in a cardboard box, so if you were to put this like under your sink and it were to leak or something, you could ruin it. But this will stay good for quite a while. And then I got this 1 big jug of bleach. Now I used to get the smaller jugs that are like half this size, because it's just difficult for me to handle the jug this size, and I'm afraid that I'm going to spill it when I'm pouring it into my laundry machine, because I basically use bleach only for laundry. But I had not bought bleach in quite a while, because bleach actually has a pretty short shelf life. It's about 6 to 9 months, and so I try not to store more than 6 months worth. And I had just gone with a guess that the smaller bottle that I was going to use 1 of those a month. So I was keeping 6 bottles, and what I ended up realizing, I started marking the dates on the jugs. Number 1, I'll mark the date that I bought it, so I'll put May of 2022 on this bottle, just to keep them rotated where I store them. But I also started writing the date when I open something like this, and so that I know how long it takes me to use it up. And what I found is that the smaller bottle of bleach I was buying, it wasn't being used up in a month. It was actually taking close to like a month and a half, close to 2 months to use up a bottle. So I really had too much bleach. So I stopped buying bleach, I stopped replacing it, and I just started working through the supply that I had. And so now I'm ready to buy another jug, but the price had gone up so much on the bleach that I finally broke down and bought the larger jug, because it just was a cost savings, and those smaller jugs had gotten so expensive. So I'll just pour this jug into a smaller jug, one of the smaller jugs that I have. When I empty one out, I'll pour it down into smaller containers. I just don't like to have to handle that big jug. I'm just afraid that I'm going to spill or splash or something like that. So I also grabbed these couple of packs of razors. These were at Save-A-Lot, and I want to say they were like $1. And they're 2 packs of 3-blade razors, and they're Noxzema brand, which is a brand that I've heard of. So I just thought they would be worth trying. We're not picky when it comes to razors, and I know you can get razors really cheap. There's always a deal. There's always a coupon. But, you know, we'll try anything. So I grabbed these just to see how they are for that cheap price. This was another Dollar Tree purchase, and now this is the one that I actually just purchased. I put this one here to show you, because I was just replacing some of the consumable items in my emergency toilet kit, because I go through that every 6 months and I replace some of the items in it. And so I bought a new I ended up going with a different spray anyways. I didn't even use these sprays, but this was the spray that I just bought for $1.25 at Dollar Tree, and this was the last spray that I bought, and it was not that long ago, and it was $1. So talk about shrinkflation. The price got a lot higher and the size got a lot smaller. So then I grabbed some more of these flushable wipes. We use these pretty regularly, and this is a good addition to toilet paper, but it also could be a substitute to toilet paper if you needed. I tend to buy this 5-pack because it's the cheapest way to go. And this is just an extra pack because these don't have, I like this little flippy top for certain things. These don't have the flippy top, they just have a peel-off sticky, but we have refillable containers that we put these in. But sometimes I like to have these, like when we go camping, we take these with the little snap close lid, and I also keep this in my emergency toilet kit. And like I said, I just went through that, and I just replaced a lot of the things that were in it with fresh and did a video on that. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up in the cards and down in the description. But so I got a bunch of these flushable wipes, and then I did grab 2 more of this Final Touch fabric softener. This is the cheapest fabric softener. It's a huge bottle, $4 at Walmart. I really like it. I'm doing the same thing with this that I did with the Biz. When I use one bottle, I finish one bottle, I buy 2 more, and that's how I'm going to build up a bigger supply of this. Now here I have just a bottle of unflavored pediatric electrolyte solution. This is basically like Pedialyte. This is just the store brand. This is a good thing to have for anytime someone is dehydrated from, you know, vomiting, diarrhea, anything like that, just being out in the sun a lot. You can also use this for baby animals. If you have a baby animal that needs to be rehabilitated without its mother, you can use this unflavored. So I like to keep some of this on hand. You never know when you might need this. And then this is from Dollar Tree. This is just a pack of, you know, pee-pee pads for dogs, and I actually am not intending these for my dogs. This is going to be for something in my car, and you'll see that eventually in an upcoming video. But it is a good point to talk about your pets, and do you have a plan for them if there's ever a time that they can't go outside, you can't go outside if you have dogs. Now obviously cats use a litter box. Small dogs can use something like a litter box. I've seen people say that they have wading pools, small kiddie pools that they're going to use, you know, maybe some artificial grass. But having some pads for dogs, if I was going to actually use them for my dogs, I think I would use a better, larger, better quality one than this pack from Dollar Tree. But it's something to think about. And then these cat foods are also from Dollar Tree. Now, I don't typically buy, I'm sure this is not the most economical way to buy cat food, and I don't like to buy the brands there that I'm not familiar with, but if I see a brand that I'm familiar with and that we use or have used or would use, sometimes I do like to buy these because it's a small pack and it's all sealed up. This has over a year until it expires, and we do like to keep like a little evacuation bag packed for our pets, like sort of like a bug out bag for your pets. But if you had to leave your home quickly and you wanted to take your pets with you, which of course we would want to do, you're going to have to think about having supplies for them. So I like these small bags because they're all sealed up and I can just pack those in the bag. And these are good for, you know, over a year, like I said. And next year I can take these out of the bag and I can just open them up, feed them to my cats, and replace them with another bag. So that's why I got these little bags. Now this is some garden twine, I guess. I'm not sure what you would call this. This is for Mr. Wicked Prepared because he's the big gardener around here, but this is something that he got basically to tie plants up to, you know, their trellis or their we got some stakes. We used to use tomato cages in our garden, a lot of tomato cages, and they're pretty expensive. They're like $5 a piece. And then usually every winter we end up turning them into Christmas trees for our Christmas display, and then we have to buy new ones. So this year we're trying something different, and we bought some really tall stakes, and I'll put a picture of those up on the screen because they're pretty big, so I don't have them in the house. But he bought this to attach the tomato plants to the stakes, and that's something new that we're going to try. And then this was some clearance aisle finds from Walmart. I got 6 packs of these tampons. These are $3 a piece. That was a really good deal. We try to stock as many of this type of lady supplies as we can. It's just a good idea to keep a lot of these on hand for emergencies. And then I found these wipes, these personal wipes. These were also on clearance for $1.36. And these will serve the same purpose as they're flushable. You know, they're basically flushable wipes. They're just marketed a little bit differently. So this was a really good deal to find. And then this was another one of those packable puffer coats, men's coats. I got some of these, I don't know if it was last month or when it was, but I think they were $11 on clearance. And then they still had a couple left and they were marked down to $6. So I have this all packed up into its little pocket, but it flips out and it's a whole coat. And it's not the best coat. It's not going to be somebody's regular coat, but I thought these would be really great to keep like in the back of the car. These are something that a lot of my kids could fit into. They had smalls and mediums in the men's. And I think that I can put these into like a little compression pack and compress them even further, put a couple of them in together, and they won't take up very much space at all, and we'll have them just on hand in the vehicle in case we were to need an extra jacket. So here I did get another consolidator unit. Now, these are the can rotating racks. They are first in, first out. I really love these. Now, these particular ones, I have my big, giant Mac Daddy can rotating unit in my storage room. And I think what I'm going to do is I've been collecting a lot of these Pantry Plus units, and these can be put together. They can be connected end to end. They can be stacked on top of each other. You can really make a custom unit. And so that's what we're doing. We have an area that I think we're going to set up a custom unit with all of these, and I'm probably going to transition my big rack into a rack just for number 10 cans and move it down to the basement and start keeping my number 10 cans on that rack, and probably get another couple racks like that. And we're just going to make a big custom unit out of these consolidators to have right off the kitchen, because it'll be a lot more handy to have them that close, and I feel like you can fit more. I feel like you can make a better use of space with these consolidators. So these were also on sale in the big spring sale where I got all my number 10 cans. So I got another unit of this. I try to at least get one every time they go on sale, or anytime I have a coupon or free credit or anything like that. They're really not that expensive. These are actually a pretty inexpensive way to go when it comes to organizing your cans. And then I did get a set of these are the canisters that I use for, you know, a lot of my food. I've been using the square ones like these. See, they're big squares. And a friend of mine started using them, and she was using the rectangular ones because they're thinner and it's sort of a better use of space. And I thought, oh, why didn't I think of that? But I already had so many of the square ones, but I finally broke down and I've started transitioning to the rectangles. And these are from Walmart. I'll try to put a link. They're called Flip Tight. If you go to your Walmart or look at walmart.com, you should find them. The price has gone up on these, and they've gotten kind of expensive. So it is cheaper to buy them in sets. So I've been buying a lot of sets just to try to transition from the square ones. I'll still use the square ones for certain things probably, but I'm going to transition a lot of my freeze-dried foods into these rectangular ones, and they're going to fit on my shelves a lot better. And who knows, I might end up selling some of the square ones that I have. But see, you can just see the difference. This is one big square one. This is two of the rectangular ones, and they're just such a better use of space. I can basically fit the things I was fitting into these big square ones. I can fit into these small rectangular ones. Just about. These in this setup here are taller than these, and that's because every once in a while I do have something that's not fitting into these shorter ones. These hold, I think, 11.5 cups or something like that. These tall ones hold, I think it says 18.5 cups. So if something won't fit into one of the shorter ones, then I use the taller ones. They do stack really nicely onto one another, so I really like these containers. Alright guys, that was the latest additions to our preps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've been watching our hauls for a while, you've probably noticed that what I get can vary depending on, you know, what's on sale and what types of things that we've been using a lot of so that we can replace things, or sometimes it just reminds me that that's something that we do use a lot of and that we should add some more because it's something we wouldn't want to be without. But months like this when there's a really big sale, you know, I do allocate a bigger part of our budget to our preps so that I can really get the best bang for my buck with the sale items. And because we do rotate our preps and we do use what we store, every week when I am going to make my menu, I am first shopping out of our food storage. So that really cuts down on the amount of our budget that has to go to the food that week, and I can put more into our preps. You know we love it when you watch our videos all the way to the end. If you made it to the end of this video, go down to the comments and leave me the emoji of the flag of your country, or just let me know where you're watching from. If you like this video or feel like you got something out of it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and maybe share it with someone that you think would enjoy it. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.